I am just beside myself with this carnivore lasagna recipe. Seriously? Hi, today I'm going to make some carnivore lasagna, also good for keto. You are going to love it. Hi, I'm Anita from KetogenicWoman.com, where I share keto recipes and carnivore cooking ideas. If you're new here, please hit subscribe and check out some of my other videos. Okay, so I'm just going to go over what will be in this lasagna. It's a basic lasagna with noodles, actual keto carnivore lasagna noodles. I have a double recipe here. I made 2 sheets of my keto noodle pasta. And instead of cutting it up into noodles, I'm going to be cutting it into thick lasagna noodles to fit this pan. I'm using an 8 by 8 inch pan. The recipe for these noodles are 100% carnivore. It's all animal products. They can be used for keto too, of course. And I will link the video of me making this in the description below. There's going to be cheese in it, some mozzarella. I'm going to grate some of this parmesan, which I keep in the freezer. I'm going to throw some bacon in it. That's optional. You don't have to. There's going to be 1 egg, 1 pound of ground beef, and some Italian seasoning. That is it. Very simple. And it'll be a true layered lasagna, minus the tomato sauce. If you are keto, you can go ahead and add tomato sauce. It tastes great without it. So to get started, I'm going to cook this ground beef just on my stove in a frying pan, nothing special. I'll be right back with that, and then we can get started with the assembly. Okay, we have our cooked ground beef, and I'm just going to let that cool a bit. While that's cooling, I'm going to grate some cheeses. I'm going to use about 1/2 cup of the parmesan. You could also use the store-bought parmesan that's already grated if you want to. I get these big bricks on sale. I really like the fresh stuff that you grate yourself, and I just keep the big brick in the freezer until I need it. But I think I should have probably more than 1/2 cup here. Just going to put that aside for now and grate the other cheese. I'm going to use about 1 cup of grated mozzarella, and maybe a little more for the top. Luckily, any pieces that go flying, we have volunteer doggies willing to pick it up. I might need more, so I'm just going to set it aside. Let's deal with the first part of this, which is the ground beef. So this has had a couple minutes to cool. In here, just to give this whole recipe a little bit more oomph, I decided to add a little bit of cooked bacon that I have. This is 6 slices of very crisp bacon, so I'm just breaking it up into little pieces. You could also add in some chopped pepperoni or salami, something that has a lot of flavor. Not that I don't like the ground beef, but I kind of like the flavor of the little bit of extra meat in here. And bacon does taste good in here, so even just 2 or 3 ounces can kind of oomph it up a bit. I'm also going to put in some Redmond salt here. Because of the bacon, I don't need too much. I'm gonna put in about half a teaspoon. That should do it. People can always add salt to it later as well. And I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. I really like this stuff. It's only available in Canada though. I will put a link down below where you can get it. I mean, it's locally made. Every time I open it, I have to smell it, because it smells like they just made it in my kitchen this morning.
It's so good.
1 tablespoon. You could put more, you could put none. Really depends on your tastes and what your particular carnivore or keto program looks like.
Oh, this is smelling good.
Now, if you are keto and not carnivore, you could add a couple of tablespoons of tomato paste to this, or like I said before, you could actually use some low-carb tomato sauce. I'm just going bare bones here and just relying on everything else to kind of hold this together and make it into a legit lasagna, especially the cheese. All right, so this is our meat layer. This is going to be the very bottom layer. It's just going to be like super light, just something to hold up the noodles so the noodles aren't at the very bottom. So it's barely there layer. It doesn't matter if there's gaps. It's just like a platform for the noodles. This should do it. I've got a double recipe of my keto noodles, and they need to be cut for this lasagna. So normally I would make a big lasagna in one of those long 9x13 pans, and if that's the case, I would just be cutting strips like this that look just like the lasagna strips that you buy in the grocery store. But I'm going with this smaller square pan today, so I'm gonna have to get a little trickier with my cutting. And I just happen to have a ruler here. So this is an 8x8 inch pan. So what I want is some 8-inch pieces. There's my first sheet. You could cut it into small pieces and fit wide lasagna type noodles, but I'll just do it this way for now. I'm going to add a little bit more meat. Make another noodle cut here. Keto pasta noodles are really sturdy. You can do so much with them. I usually make like a fettuccine type thing with them. None of this noodle stuff will get wasted, because if there's any leftovers, I can cut it up into small pieces. So now I'm going to do my ricotta cheese layer. Even before I did low carb or keto, I always had the ricotta cheese layer. It's just a traditional thing I do. So I'm going to use 1 cup of ricotta cheese, 1 egg, and a half a cup the grated parmesan. So this is going to be a cheesy custard-like layer with the egg and the cheese. And then that goes here. Okay, and then we just smooth that on top here. Then there's going to be, let's see, I've got 2 layers. I mean, you can layer this however you like it. Sometimes I change it every time. But I think I'm going to put another meat layer, because I certainly have enough noodles here. Just kind of spread that over, just very light. And then that gives me a little more for the top. All right, let's get some more noodles here. Okay, I'm going to make some pasta noodles with the rest of this in a bit. Now we get to layer up some cheese with our meat here. You could put more cheese in between the layers. I've always kind of saved it for the top. And there is parmesan in that middle layer with the ricotta. So This will be baked at 350 degrees for only 20 minutes. Now normally lasagna, when you make it from scratch, if you've done that before, that's like sometimes an hour bake time. But everything in here is cooked. The noodles are already cooked. The meat's cooked. So really you're just sort of warming everything up, cooking that middle custard layer. It should be fine. 25 minutes just to get it all heated through and bubbly. I'm just gonna put it on a sheet because if you're using a glass pan, you don't need to do that, or some kind of sturdy pan, but I find with the silicone pans, you need to put it on a sturdy sheet. So that's going to go into the oven now, and we'll see you back in about half an hour. There we are, look at that. Our lasagna. So this baked at 350 for 25 minutes, and then I placed it under the broiler for 3 minutes to get the top nice and brown. Now it needs to rest for a few minutes. I'm going to say 5 to 10 minutes, and then we will slice it. While we're waiting, I'll just mention what I did with the leftover pasta sheets. I cut it up into noodles. And if you haven't seen this recipe already, please go and look down in the description below. The link is there to make this, because as you can see, it makes lasagna noodles as well as pasta noodles, however thick or thin you want to make them. Completely keto friendly, completely carnivore friendly. So I think you'll like that. Okay, so this has been resting for a few minutes. I'm going to cut it and put it on the plate. I'm just going to use a pizza cutter. I find that's the easiest most of the time. See what we have here. Oh, look at that. Okay, so there's our lasagna. You can see the layers are nice and defined. Got some melty cheese on top. It's holding together nicely. I'm going to give it a try. That was really good. Because I broiled the top layer of mozzarella is a bit hard to cut through with a butter knife, so I would do a sharper knife. I probably could have added just a little more Italian seasoning, although too much for me doesn't really go over well later, but I think the others might like a little more. I'm really glad I added the bacon. The bacon adds a nice flavor to the meat layer. So I think you're gonna like this. So do give it a try. Let me know how you like it, and if you've made it, and any changes that you've made, and do check out the pasta noodle recipe as well. Are you watching me cut? You're hoping I'm going to drop some, aren't you? Well, I didn't, but there you go. Oh, what a good doggy. Oh, look at you. There you go. What happened to your ears? Hi, I'm Anita from KetogenicWoman.com, where I share... Teddy.